Also joined in the studio by Andy Williams and Kane. Blackwell, good morning, you two.
Good morning.
Let's start with the obvious. Andy, hotel protests all across the country, plans this weekend off the back of Epping.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
I worry about this. I worry about the fact that that the courts might be responding to what could be seen as kind of mob mentality of people trying to intimidate the state into changing its policy on
intimidate the state
on where migrants are housed. I mean, the main issue here is that these people are already in this country, so they're going to have to go somewhere.
Deport.
They are going to be so even if that's what you think it should happen, that's not what's going to happen, because it can't. So what is going to happen? No, it's got nothing to do with the Labour government. It's to do with the law. What's going to happen is that these people are going to be moved into private housing elsewhere, probably in the north of England, right? So actually what you have are people in communities saying, not in my backyard, and shifting these people elsewhere around the country, but it doesn't solve the problem. And what I don't like about it is that you've got, and we can't quantify it, this is the problem, we cannot quantify it, but there is an absolute reality that with these protests you have three types of people. You have the genuinely concerned local people who are worried about the impact of people being housed in migrant hotels on their communities. You then have the hard left, people like Stand Up to Racism, who are bussed in to whip up trouble. And then you have the far right, who bust themselves in also to whip up trouble. And two of those three groups shouldn't be anywhere near it.
OK, I'm going to pick you up. We're going to come back to these HMOs because Ben and I are very worried about that. But I want to pick you up on that first comment you made about the people intimidating the government into changing policy. Surely democracy is the people expressing their views in order to change policy. Democracy
is, and we have the right to protest wherever you like, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of protest, and rightly so. Personally, I think it's tasteless to be protesting outside an area which are people's temporary accommodation. Yeah. Go and protest outside Parliament.
Do you think it's tasteless to put young men who have never had contact with women in the countries they come through into communities where they're next to schools and young girls are
I think it's an unfortunate necessity of where we are, given that small boat crossings have not been stopped. So people come here, and you can say deport them as much as you like, but that is not in accordance with the law.
OK, well, Kane, detention centres are in accordance with the law. Why should they? I mean, we set up Nightingale hospitals during COVID. Why can we not have detention centres housing asylum seekers until their applications are processed, where they're not allowed to roam around in the community?
I agree, and I know from my time working in Parliament that actually, when I worked for Priti Patel, one of the things that she actually was planning to do before Boris and others got kicked out was actually to have these detention centres across the country. Now, what I do, and I just want to pick up on your point, Andy, is saying that, not in my backyard. People are saying not in my backyard. Actually, they're saying not in my country. And I think that's the entire point. The really important point is people don't care. They don't want them in our country because they're not here legally. That's the problem. They've come here illegally. And they have crossed that channel, and it's not right. We have to be able to defend our borders. We actually have to have borders to be a country, to be a sovereign country. And I think that's the most important thing.
And Kane, responding to Andy's comment that it's a necessity, is it a necessity or a choice?
Of course it's a choice. Politics is about choices. Everyone can make a choice. If the Labour government tomorrow wanted to do something about this, they could. They could leave the ECHR if they wanted to. They're not going to, because it's fundamentally against everything they believe in.
It's always the simple first solution you can grasp at with this sort of stuff.
But it isn't. We've tried loads of solutions.
We'll leave that. We'll slash and burn this. Get rid of the Online Safety Act. That'll make everything better. Get rid of the ECHR. We'll leave the EU. Well, politics is much more complicated than people on the right make out. Yes, it is.
No. Look at America. President Trump came in January. Since then, 0 illegal crossings released into America over the past 3 months. Comparing to Joe Biden, 15 million illegals released into the country.
There is a fundamental.
They've shown it can be done.
There is a fundamental tension here, right? And it's a disagreement on philosophy, really, which is I think Donald Trump's approach to immigration is deeply inhumane. Now,
OK, but it's a choice. You may agree with that, but it's a choice. He's shown it can be done. Whether you think it's disgusting or vile, he's shown it can be done. Yes.
Yeah. So Labour could. You are correct in that Labour could.
Let's go to a break then.
Labour could make a choice to part ways with Western liberal democracy, to trample all over the rule of law, to dismiss human rights law and dismiss the human rights of some people who are legitimate asylum seekers. And we know many of them are economic migrants. We know that many of them also are legitimate asylum seekers who are fleeing persecution. And if you're comfortable, and some people are, and that's fine. Politics is all about trade-offs. And if the trade-off for you is that
what would you say?
We don't care about these people, screw them, then that's up to you.
Andy,
it's not my choice.
Andy, I think you're positioning that in a certain way. What would you say to my patient of single mother, 2 kids, living in a bedsit that's got mould and damp, and she feels that the migrants are getting a better deal than she is?
But of course they're not, because it's a ridiculous argument. They are away from their families. They
made the choice. They made the choice to leave.
But in some cases they didn't, which is the whole point about asylum. Huh?
How they've crossed multiple countries to get to this country. That is a choice, Andy.
Would you just stick around in Afghanistan or Sudan or other war-torn areas?
No, but you go to the first safe country that you can get to, and that is the point. They have gone through many safe countries. They are not asylum seekers. They are economic migrants. They want a better life for themselves. I don't blame them. We have a great country, but the point is we cannot take everyone, and we have to look after our own. And Dr. Rene's right. When people who are living in mould-infested houses or on the breadline completely, and we basically say, sorry, you're at the back of the queue, but someone who's just got here on a boat can get their teeth done, can go to see a doctor, is absolutely outrageous.
What do you say to the people protesting outside these hotels who are from the far left and who are from the far right, who are there to stir up trouble?
That's what happens. Extremism happens when the government is seen to be not looking after its own people.
But we shouldn't excuse it like that, Ben. We shouldn't just say, it just happens. It happens.
This is deflection, isn't it?
No, it's not deflection, and we know. And I've said on this channel before and got so much stick for it that Tommy Robinson is an awful person and whipping up racial hatred. And guess what? Times special investigation the other day. Tommy Robinson has been selling online advice to people on how to protest outside migrant hotels
peacefully.
In a way,
peacefully. Tommy Robinson argued.
I've read it.
Did you watch his video?
I've read it too.
I've read the investigation and I've listened to the podcast about it as well. I know exactly. I've heard his rhetoric and his commentary, and it is not all peaceful.
Okay, how did you get on to Tommy Robinson? How did you get on to that?
Because
you guys seem to deflect.
Because he's the symbol.
Deflection because someone who's the bogeyman, and that actually what we need to get back to is the fact is that millions of people across this country are fed up, and they quite frankly have found their voice, and they are actually not scared anymore to go out and actually say, we do not want this. We don't want this, and that's the point. People feel empowered now, and they don't care because for so long, people, not just yourself, Andy, but many people across the left and the political spectrum have ignored so many people on the issue of immigration for so long, and it's been warned and warned and warned time and time again, and no one's listened.
You're the person representing the Conservative Party here, so you know better than I do.
I'm not representing.
And just finally, Andy, if you think Tommy Robinson is such a big bogeyman, why not ask the question?
I don't think he's a bogeyman. Hang on, much worse than that.
Fine, whatever you think of him, instead of saying, oh, Tommy Robinson, why don't you ask the question as to why so many people are now fans of Tommy Robinson and listening to him? The reason behind it. Likewise, Donald Trump a few years ago.
It's the Andrew
reason is
Tommy Robinson.
Because people like him and others whip up fear and hatred. That is why.